Welcome everybody to our Microsoft 365 webinar series. My name is Jan Lehman. I'm the owner of CTC Productivity. And with me are two of our fabulous team members, Nancy Kreschke, who's, we always say, like one of our training experts that just knows every bell and whistle and every Microsoft app, very skilled. And then Arnie is one of our business analysts, SharePoint Teams guru. So welcome to both of you. If you're new to our webinar series, just know the format is we do kind of a deep dive on content, and then we open it up for Q&A. So you're welcome to enter any questions into chat at any point, but we tend to kind of pool them and answer them at the end. I like to tell people, a lot of people wonder why the heck we're using Zoom for a Microsoft 365 webinar. So I like to kind of call out the elephant in the room. The reason for that is a lot of our folks that are joining us are on Google, and we don't want to create too big of a speed bump for them to join the meeting. So anyway, that's some of the logic behind why Zoom. So today we're going to be talking about new Outlook, and I'm super excited personally about this one because I've said some questions as I've been playing with the new Outlook. So Nancy, really looking forward to this one. Next month then, or actually in 2 months, we've switched to now doing our webinars every other month. Arnie's going to be back up talking about how do we guarantee Microsoft Teams success. So that should be a great one for those companies that are trying to roll out Teams and SharePoint and get it set up properly and get full adoption. And as we all know, it's not the difficulty isn't always with the tech, it's with the people. I'm going to enter into chat some links for you. So if you wanted to register for that that webinar, there's a link in there. There's also links to the case study I'm about ready to go through, our webinars, or excuse me, our newsletter, lots of different things. And perfect. So let me give a little backstory. We started this webinar series to help business leaders really solve business issues using Microsoft 365. So that's the logic behind it. We don't promote software just to promote it for the heck of it. These are the words that we tend to listen to. If we're hearing our clients complain about communication, collaboration, any of those kind of things, we know that there's something in Microsoft 365 that can really solve their issues and streamline productivity. And so those are buzzwords for us. And yeah, we tend to still continue to see such a companies are staying hybrid. That's an easy way to say it, right? Like most companies are not fully back in office. And so 365 just continues to be such an important platform to allow for that flexibility to be able to access any information on your phone wherever you are. So if you're not all in yet with 365, you certainly want to be. Go ahead, Nance. You can go next one. I'm going to go through a quick case study. The link to the case study is in the chat. We like to just highlight a recent case study. So this one is from Daisy at, or gosh, I can't see the name on here. This one, yeah, Richmond Bakery. So Daisy from Richmond Baking. And they were starting down the journey of wanting to adopt EOS. If you're not familiar with EOS, you might be familiar with the book Traction. We're big fans of that particular methodology. It's just a way of running the business with goals, issues, and adding good structure. And they wanted to follow EOS, but they realized they needed really good tools to set them up for success. And so they were looking at lots of different third-party apps that are out there. Go ahead, Nancy. Yeah, but they decided they didn't want an isolated platform or kind of all that information out on an island. They really wanted what they're doing, this new workflow to be integrated with kind of how they were already using their suite of tools. So they knew they wanted something ideally that worked seamlessly and integrated with Microsoft 365 because their people were already in that tool on a daily basis. So they contacted us and we helped, in their words, do it right. So they figured they could probably tinker around and figure out some way of doing it, but time is money. So they wanted a way to like set it up and do it right. And so we helped lay out, Arnie was involved in this project, really lay out a long-term strategy on how to use Microsoft 365 efficiently, not just for rolling out EOS, but across the board. And we start off with piloting with their executive team on this particular project. And the plan was to build out a SharePoint solution for running the EOS tool, and then also to integrate the EOS tool into the Teams environment to make it even more user-friendly, even more integrated into their current workflow. And the results are, one of the things I said is they love the fact that we had a deep understanding of the EOS methodology. We as a company run on EOS. We're a huge fan of it. And so a really deep understanding of the methodology. They like that we could actually customize the tool if there was anything that they needed that was, specific or important for them. And they especially love the fact that everything could be accessed from any device, just as how Microsoft sets up their platform. They were already using Planner and To Do, and so they really wanted the solution to integrate with those tools, and that's one option that we offer. And they felt very strongly that having not just the SharePoint site, but the Teams integration made it super user friendly, much easier to use. And from that project, they now can see the massive potential of leveraging SharePoint and Teams more across the organization. So some of their comments was we helped fully train all their staff. It expanded their utilization of Teams, and now they're starting to see and build out areas where SharePoint can be a benefit in other areas of the business. So needless to say, they were very happy. The good thing about Microsoft 365 is you pay us to come in once and actually build it, but you don't have an ongoing subscription fee above and beyond what you're already paying for with Microsoft. So this is a one-time cost of a little over 13,000, and no ongoing. And the calculated ROI, we weren't able to do like a before and after because they had never done EOS before. But their comment was it was priceless to be able to roll out EOS successfully, have full adoption, and everybody felt it was just easier to adopt the methodology by having a quality tool in place. So anyway, that's a little bit of an example of what you can do with the power of Microsoft 365. So hopefully it gets your wheels turning as to what your business issues are and where there might be some opportunity with the suite of tools. Now Nancy is up.
All right, yay. So I should have put new on here, but this is the new Outlook. And if you haven't noticed when you're in your desktop Outlook, on the top right, there's this little toggle button that says new Outlook, and it looks just like this. So up on the top right of whether you're in mail or your calendar, you should see try the new Outlook. If you haven't tried it out, the nice thing, it is a toggle switch and you have the ability to turn it on and play with it and go, want to go back to classic. You can go ahead and turn it off and go back to the classic Outlook. The new Outlook. So one of the reasons why is Microsoft doing this, and there's a couple of reasons. But one to know is that the new Outlook is very similar to what the web is looking like. So the reason that they're doing it is on Windows PCs, if you ever notice, they actually put a mail app on there and a calendar app on all Windows PCs and not Outlook. If you wanted Outlook, you had to buy Outlook or you had to buy Microsoft 365 or back then Office 365 to get Outlook as an app on your desktop computer. And Microsoft is going, why are we updating this outdated app? So they have decided that anybody with a Windows PC is now getting access to Outlook. So that's very exciting. So the Windows PC desktop apps, mail and calendar are going to be going away. They're not quite gone on my computer yet, at least I noticed. And the classic Outlook for Windows app will be going away. Not quite yet, though, so don't freak out. We still have time. They will be renaming, and I think this is happening by the end of August. On the computer, you will notice that when you are in the classic Outlook right now, it says Outlook. If you go into the new Outlook, your little icon in your taskbar says new Outlook. They are going to be changing this so that when you are in the classic Outlook, it is going to say classic Outlook. And when you're in the new, it's going to say Outlook. So they want to make sure they get that switch. If you've been using Microsoft Teams, you probably have noticed that has happened as well. They have the new Teams and the classic Teams. And very shortly, I don't think mine has switched yet, but the new is going to go away from the Teams app and it is just going to say Teams. And if you do happen to go back to the classic Teams, it will say classic Teams. So they're removing the new from the names. The end of August is when that rename should be happening. The other thing is I was doing some more research is I had a little thing that popped up that said, hey, classic Outlook support for Windows. They will be doing that until at least 2029. So Classic Outlook, I don't know exactly when they're going to say, yeah, you got to completely get rid of it. But there was a statement in many of the things that I read that said that they're going to support the Classic Outlook at least until 2029. And my thought is, I don't care if you quit supporting it, but bring all the tools from the Classic Outlook into the new Outlook for me, because we're not there yet, but they're getting closer every day as they continue to add. So what are some of the things that are changing? One of the big things is, and this has already started to roll out in June, so some people may already see it. It depends on when your IT department pushes those. If you own your own company, it still depends on what channel of updates you're in, so you may or may not see this. But one of the biggest things that people complained about with the new Outlook is that there was no offline support. If you had your laptop and you were someplace you did not have internet, you could not read your mail, you could not see your calendar or your contacts. So this is very exciting that you now can, if you do not have internet, you can still see your mail, your calendar and your contacts, and there's certain actions you can perform. You can flag messages, you can move messages, you can delete messages, and you can compose. They'll hang out in your outbox until you get reconnected again. So these are some of the newest things that you should be seeing, if not already, in the future. So just to let you know. So what are some of the new features that are out here? What's all the, why is it so important? Why are we switching and what are they doing? So one of the things I already told you is that the new Outlook desktop, Windows desktop app is really mirroring what the web app did. And so if you've ever used the web app and then you look at the new Outlook, you're going to notice that they are almost identical. Not 100%. There's still a few things that are not the same, but you are going to notice that. And so one of the new features in the new Outlook, and I kind of like this one, and you have been able to do it in the web version, is that you can go ahead and pin a message. And that message is at the top of your list. So when you have your list of all your email messages, instead of just flagging it and it stays in line, it doesn't move, you can pin it and it will move to the top. My only caution of this is that don't pin too many, or otherwise you have to scroll way down to find your first new message. So use it sparingly, but those messages that you're like, oh, here's are the 3 messages that I want to make sure I take care of today, absolutely go ahead and pin those there. So that's why I think that's a really cool feature. One of the next ones is snooze. And if you had been using the online version, or ever done the add-in to the desktop version called Boomerang, or use Google with Boomerang, you get the ability to snooze a message. And so you can say, oh, great. Okay, but I don't want to see this right now. I don't want to lose it in my laundry list. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to snooze it, and you get to choose till when. So you can say, I want to, later today, come back, or tomorrow, or this week, whenever, or you can pick a specific date. I don't need to see this message until next Tuesday. And so you can go ahead and choose your date on that. What this does is it actually goes ahead and creates a folder called snoozed messages, and you can go and find them again, because that was one of my concerns. Great, when I snooze it, where does it go? And so I was very excited that it creates a subfolder, and you can go and find your snooze messages and move them back to your inbox at any point in time, or deal with them in that folder. So they don't go into oblivion where you cannot find them. The next one, and we've been able to do this in the Classic Outlook, is to determine when. It's send later, right? That's what it was, but it was kind of buried. You had to dig into, the options and go and find, don't send this until this time or this day. Microsoft has now brought this right front and center. And right with your send, instead of just sending it, you can click your little drop down caret here and you can schedule send. And so that gives you the ability, just like the snooze, when do you want to send it? I love this option and this feature, and that they brought it front and center, because if I am working on messages late at night or early in the morning or on the weekend, I don't want to send them until the next day or until 8 in the morning when I'm working on it at 5 in the morning. And so this is, I just think it's fantastic, the ability to go ahead and select when to send.
Mhm. That's actually the snooze and that one are great. Just making it easier. These are fabulous, Nancy. Thank you.
In the meeting types, and many people probably haven't even noticed this. It's been there. I'm not quite sure. Some of these features have been since the beginning when they rolled out the new, some they've added, they just continue making updates and additions. And this one is types of meetings. And so I heard from several clients saying, do I have to have every meeting? And actually in the new, they don't call them meetings, they actually call them events. Does every event have to have a Teams meeting on it? How can I make that Teams meeting go away?
Mhm.
And so now they have brought it right front and center. And you can go into your settings and say, make everything a Teams meeting from the jump, or you can leave it so that it's neither of these are selected as a default. The default is that they're both off. And so instead of it just saying nothing, the location is, hey, this is an in-person meeting, right? And so if you're in your office or you're going to their location or whatever that is. So it's nice to be able to choose, is it an in-person event or is it a Teams meeting? Makes it a little bit clearer for everyone when they get the invite.
Mhm.
They are also bringing, and again, this might not be there, and actually this is the meeting chat of availability on the web. And I wanted to bring this in because it looks a little bit different in the new. So if you are using Outlook on the web, you are seeing on the very top right of your screen, you should see this little chat bubble. And so when you click on it, it pops up. And this is not just to chat with people through Teams, but it is about meetings and to chat with people about a specific meeting and go right into it. And so if I were just to click on the Friday training on the web, it actually does a pop-up window right next to it. And I can just go ahead and chat with Carrie. But I do have the ability to go ahead and open the Microsoft Teams app. It will take me right into the chat for that meeting and I can chat there as well. But if I don't want to go into Teams, I can say, oh, I want to chat about which one of those meetings was it this week or today. And I can do that. And that is right on the web. Inside of the new Outlook desktop app, it is in the meeting itself. So this is the email meeting invite and there's a chat there. And that will open Teams automatically, but take you to the chat for that meeting. And this was actually, I opened up the calendar item. And so it shows it to me a little bit differently. So they're very similar, but there are some differences. One just says chat, one's chat with participants. So they're bringing that feature right in. My guess is that at some point, they are actually going to integrate Teams chat right into Outlook to help those of us that go, oh, I want to send, oh, I'm supposed to send that in Teams and not in Outlook. So I'm thinking at some point there's actually going to be a chat where you can just pull up your chat list from Teams. Now, don't quote me on that, but this just kind of leads me down that path that they may be going because they already have the connector with the chat and the Teams meetings. Now they just need to have it with the full chat window.
If you have any questions, feel free to start entering them into chat. So we're happy to, if it's in your head, go ahead and get it out onto chat. That's great.
Yeah, don't keep it there. Also, again, in that top right, when you're in the app, you should see this little calendar with a check mark in it. And so when they first rolled out the new Outlook, there was no integration, this was not there. And so many of my clients in the classic Outlook absolutely love to have that pane open on the right-hand side that shows their calendar and their upcoming meetings and what their tasks are. And so this is a pane that opens up on the right-hand side. of the application, and you get to see not only your calendar. I figured you guys really didn't want to see what my calendar, what events, that's what's next, is what events are happening today or upcoming, and then below it is what tasks are on my to-do list. So I just gave you the top of that little window. So let's look at doing some compare and contrast. So what are some of the things that we're still getting in the new Outlook, but they look a little bit different because the whole interface is just a little bit different and can be frustrating to find things. So first, let's talk about conversations. For those of us that love conversations, in the classic Outlook, to get to your conversations, one of the ways is through your view conversations, and then they gave you this drop down list, and you get to decide how do you really want to look at it. And it's great. The other thing that you get to do in the classic is clean up conversations. Very sad. Not an option in the new Outlook, hoping that they make it an option.
Mhm.
In the new Outlook, when you go to conversations, you get two options: show as conversations or don't show as conversations, essentially. That's it. You don't get to decide on how they're viewed in your inbox, and
Hmm.
you do not get to clean up conversations in your inbox. So hopefully, again, things that can be added.
Mhm.
On the top right, and let's see, let me just go back a couple slides here for a second. On the top right in Outlook, this little smiley face, and you should start seeing this everywhere across all your Microsoft apps. That is actually a feedback button. And so if you are in the new Outlook or any of the apps and you're like, okay, Microsoft, I need this, or where is this, or I can't find this, or you want to go, oh, this is the greatest thing ever, you click on that little feedback and you can give Microsoft that feedback. So if one of the things that you want is clean up conversations, click on that little feedback button and share an idea with them. Categories. And this is not necessarily adding categories, but this is being able to, if you are actively using categories on messages in your inbox, in the classic, one of the ways to view your inbox by category, so would group them together, is to come up here to your little by date, click the little drop down and sort by categories. And then your categories alphabetically, it will have a header, and then all your messages and your next category and all the messages. In the new, it's this little, you have a little arrow like this over here on the classic. This arrow over here on the classic, by the way, sorts either ascending or descending.
Mhm.
All right, so this purple box and this purple box match. But when you're in the new Outlook, you have this little drop down arrow, I believe, and it pops this up to say, how do you want to organize your inbox? And I'm a little bummed that they buried it in sort. So it's not all on one laundry list. I have to pull up the list, then click sort, then click categories, and then go, do I want my categories sorted A to Z or Z to A? So it's a few more steps, but at least you can now sort your inbox by category. I live in my inbox by category. And when New Outlook rolled out and I could not sort by category, I was very, very sad. So I'm excited that they brought it in here. It is just a few more steps for me to get the view that I want. Now, adding your categories to favorites. So in the classic, you need to go to your search folders if you've ever used those, and you need to do a search folder based on one of your categories. In this case, my category I chose was waiting for. And once you now have the search folder created, you can right click on it and you can add it to your favorites. In the new Outlook, if you are using categories on your category list, you have the right at the end of it, not here, these are my favorites, but when you go to your category list in settings, at the very end of it over here, you have a little star. And when you click that star, that means add it to your favorites. So you can, and then they give you these pretty little tags on here, right? And so this one doesn't tell me if it's a folder or if it's categories, or it doesn't tell me in the classic. So I do kind of like this. And it's very easy to go ahead and add those and remove those categories from your favorites. So in this case, let's say the Mark 9 design project was done, and I'm like, "Ah, I don't need to have that in my favorites anymore." I can go ahead and remove it really, really quickly. So I like that, but just showing you the difference. Attachments. For those of you that maybe have been using the new Outlook and you're like, the only option they give me is to save to my OneDrive, and that's not where I want it to go. You'll be happy to know, if you haven't noticed already, that they now have given you the ability to download it. And so when you download it, your File Explorer opens up and you get to choose any of the files and folders that are in your File Explorer on your computer. I always, it was much easier again. So it's taken a few more clicks to do the exact same thing. In the classic, when you had attachments, you also had the ability to save one or to save all of them. And then it would ask you, where do you want to save them? So be happy if you haven't started using it, that you now have the ability to download those files that are attachments and put them where you want.
So Nancy, you're saying if you hit the download, it's doing the same thing as attaching it?
No, this is no, I send you an email, Jan, that has an attachment,
Yep.
and you're like, I want to save this to my computer. I don't want it just to
Oh,
be in my
got
email.
it. Yes, perfect.
So you would click download. Until
Yeah.
about, I don't know if it's a month, maybe 6 weeks ago, this option was not available. The only option was save to your OneDrive. And then
Got
you would
it.
have to go to your OneDrive and move it to where you really wanted it. So you now get the ability
Okay.
to save it where you want from the beginning.
Thank you.
The sync, again, this is brand new. I think they just rolled this out with the update that went out on Patch Tuesday, which is the second Tuesday of the month. In the new Outlook, there was no way to refresh, no way to sync, right? So you're sitting there and you're waiting for an email in your classic. You could come up here and you could go ahead and click on your send and receive and go, oh, okay, yep, it found it now. In the new, there was not a way until this past month. And so now, again, they buried it though, unfortunately, in View. There's the sync. And so you can go ahead and sync and have it go and check for new messages sooner than it is going to do it itself, which in both of these, it does finally go and sync for you, but now you can push it to sync when you want. The ribbon. I don't know how many people like the classic versus the simplified ribbon. I like the classic ribbon. As you can see, that's the check mark on both of these. When ribbons first came out in 2010, I was like, yuck, too much space you're taking up. Now I love them since I've been playing with them for the last however many years. What does that make? 14 years, because it was in 2010 when they introduced the ribbon. But you can choose and you can switch, and it is, so here's your little caret up here under the new Outlook. At the end of this is actually a simplified ribbon. And so in the new Outlook, when you click on it, you only get these two options. Do you want to see the classic or do you want to see the simplified? In the classic, you had the ability to select more options. So don't have a lot of options anymore. It's either the classic or the simplified that they have created for you. The other thing, since I'm seeing it right here, is the quick access toolbar. And I'm very, very sad. At this point, the new Outlook does not have a quick access toolbar. So if you have ever used it to put those icons and those features that you click on all the time, instead of having to go into home or view or file or wherever they are, and find them to click on, and you added them to your quick access toolbar at this point in time, and I haven't heard any rumblings, the new Outlook does not have a quick access toolbar. Very sad. In the classic, you could go and customize your ribbon. And essentially it took you to file options. And then once you got the options menu, customize ribbon, and any of the actions that were available or commands that were available, you could go ahead and you could add those to your ribbon. Yay, happy day. Yeah, not anymore. So you can customize, but you can only customize the simplified ribbon. I'll say that again. You can customize, but only the simplified ribbon. And so your little skinny one bar, not the full ribbon, you can choose what do I want to show in it. And so you take these and you drag them up. This is telling you what's in each of those groups right now. And you can go ahead and you can drag these up. It's not overly intuitive how to do this. And so you kind of have to play and go, well, why didn't it stay up there? But you can do some customization in the simplified ribbon only. The reading pane. So in the classic, you really didn't get, and what I mean by the reading pane, I should say actions. So all these little icons. So if you have the reading pane on, you can reply all, you can forward, you can send it to Teams, or if you click on the three dots, here are the other options that my classic Outlook had. But the new one now is you get to customize what shows up in the reading pane. And so it's showing you, here's a few more that are available, and then you can customize your actions. This is the laundry list of what you can add. But one thing to know is that you can only put 4 actions up here. So don't get click happy and click everything, because they're not all going to show up. You get 4. That's all you get to see. But if you're like, I never forward anything, but I am always flagging a message and I want it in the reading pane, go ahead and put that one up there. So little different, actually some more options of customization. So, you know, there are some good things about the new Outlook. The settings. So in Classic, as I just mentioned before, if you wanted to change anything, right? You wanted to go in and change defaults that happen across everything in Outlook. It was File and Options, and that took you to this Outlook Options menu. And then you could go in, you could scroll through what are all the general, what are all the mail, so on and so forth. So there is no longer a File Options, but in the new Outlook, it's Settings. And so if you're in your new Outlook, and I didn't take that screenshot, up on the top right, there's a little gear. So wherever you see gears, make sure you click on it, because that typically is taking you to settings. And that is really not only across Microsoft, but that is also across really anything out there. I mean, it's the same when I go into my Google, my Gmail, and do settings there. It's a little gear. So pretty getting standard every place, just like those 3 dots, meaning more. Hey, there's something else here. Click on the 3 dots to show it, right? So there is, this is really your list. When you go in there, you have accounts, general, mail, calendar, and people. And then under each of them, just like we saw in File Options, it then says, okay, here's the things that are under accounts. Here's the list of items that you can modify and tweak under general. And then under mail and calendar and people, I'm really not even sure why they put it there. I didn't give you a screenshot because all it says is, do you want your people to show by first name or last name first? I'm like, really? Why do you have this here? It doesn't do me much good. So some of the things, if you were in File Options and you're like, well, this is where it was in Classic, where is it? You may just need to come into Settings and click around and go, oh, that's where it is. And so one of the things that I had, let me just pop back a screen, is your category list I had mentioned earlier. If this was live and I clicked on this, this would show me my list of categories. And then at the end of the category is where I would have that star to favorite it, or a pencil to go ahead and edit that category, which the things you can edit are the name of your category and the color of your category. Phew, okay, couple more. In development. So as I said, they're continuing to push things out, look at new things. And where are they getting that? It is coming from the feedback. So go and send feedback. They're reading it, they're listening to us as end users. And that's why offline files is there, because people are up in arms going, what do you mean? I can't look at my email on the plane anymore with no Wi-Fi, or sitting at the beach or by the pool with no Wi-Fi. And so that's why offline is now there, because people said, hey, we need that feature. So what's coming? The share to teams. And so if in the classic Outlook, if you have an email message and you're going, okay, Jan sent me this email and I really need this email to be in that team channel, you can send it over so that everybody in the team now is aware, what is this information that Jan shared only with me, but really should be over into Teams. And so you have that ability in the Classic. So sometime in July, I haven't seen it roll out yet. They're saying it's being rolled out in July, the share to Teams in the new Outlook. Send meeting updates to added or removed attendees. And you're like, well, that's what it always says when I'm in Outlook. Well, the Classic, yes. In the new Teams, or excuse me, in the new Outlook, and I think I've said that several times, the new Teams in the new Outlook, when you update a meeting, it would send that information to everybody and not just the new people that you invited or the people you removed sending the cancellation. So they are bringing that feature into the new Outlook so that not everybody that was part of the first meeting invite is getting an update and going, why am I getting this? Because nothing's changed. Stream recordings. You will have the ability to actually record and insert that recording into email messages. I haven't seen what this looks like yet, but I think it's kind of cool. To me, it's like, so I'm going to use Jan as an example. Let's say Jan wants to send me a message and she goes, well, I could just send a text or I could just send a Teams chat. But she goes, I think Nancy wants to see my smiling face. So she could go into Outlook and she could do a little stream recording and send me her little happy message. And I get to watch that recording. For those of you who have iPhones, you might already be doing that. I know on my Android phone, I can do that as well. I can record a voice message or a video message and text it to my friends or family. I remember I tried that when I first saw it, and one of my friends was like, I have no idea what you sent me, but I can't listen to it. So I don't think I've done it since. The other thing that I like is go directly to a folder. So in Outlook, you have your folder list and you want to go directly to one of your folders instead of having to go over there and scroll down if you have a long laundry list of folders. And so I like keyboard shortcuts, so I wanted to share that one today. Few more items. Attachments. If you have been using the new Outlook, one of the other things you probably noticed is that when you clicked on an attachment, it would open it in a browser. And it's like, I don't want to go to a browser. I just want to open it in Word. So they're going to be rolling that out in August. Another feature that everyone loved when we went from, I think it was Outlook 2007 to 2010. 2007, your folders had to be alphabetical. And so to make them in the order we wanted, we would add zeros and ones and asterisks and exclamation points so that they would show up in the order we wanted. And in 2010, they said, hey, you can move them around and put them in any order you want. And so they are bringing that feature to arrange your folders into the new Outlook in September. Shared folders. If you have any shared folders that you or folders that you share with anyone else in your organization, you have not been able to add those to your favorites, and your shared folders typically show up under your laundry list of folders that you have created. And so you have to scroll down to see what's happening. So in October, they're going to bring the ability to add that shared folder to your favorites. So for those of you that maybe there's 2 or 3 of you, there's a shared mailbox and you all need to manage that. It's going to make your life a little easier because you're going to be able to pin it in your favorites. And then PST files. So with our classic Outlook, our file type for our archived files it says archive dot and it's a PST, which is like your DOCX or your, XLSX for your Word and your Excel files. And at this point, you are not able to read the PST files in the new Outlook. So if you have a PST file that you still do some searching for in your classic Outlook, and you switch over to the new, you're not going to have access to those files. But they're looking to bring that into the new Outlook in spring of next year. So the further we go out with these dates, the more flexible they are. So if you look back at this and you go, that didn't roll out, that never rolled out. They do have their right to the ability and the right to change their mind if they're going to roll out. If you are a person that loves to, oops, hang on, went too far, that loves to keep track of what's happening or take a look at the roadmap, this is available to everybody. It's on the web, and it is the Microsoft 365 roadmap. It tells you what the feature is that they're looking, when's the estimated release date. There's actually 3 portions on there: what's already been rolled out, what's in development, and what is going to be rolled out. And I can't remember what the 3 things are. One's in development. So you can go check it out. You can either copy this long link down here, or if you just go to any browser and you type Microsoft Roadmap, it'll pull up this link for you. And this is not just for Outlook. This is for any of the Microsoft apps and features. And so, check it out. If you're going, oh, I kind of heard rumblings that this was going to happen to Word or Excel or OneNote or any of the Teams. It'll also tell you new Teams features. So if you're using Microsoft Teams, it'll let you know what's in development, what they're getting ready to roll out. So check it out. All right, Jan.
Awesome. Good job, Nance. Always so good at explaining stuff, and it's a full-time job for you just to stay current with what's going on with all the apps. Let's see, quick wrap up, and then we'll open up for Q&A. Feel free to enter questions into the Q&A or be ready to unmute yourself and ask questions. A lot of times people will find this recording on YouTube and be like, who the heck is CTC Productivity? So just a quick explanation. We do Microsoft 365 consulting plus lots of other things related to productivity. And this is really our roadmap. We typically come in and assess, look at your current setup, help migrate data, email, anything's over, and then help you optimize and leverage that platform. And then our intention certainly is to wrap up and not have you be dependent on us. So look at us as augmenting your internal and external IS and IT teams and being Microsoft 365 experts, continuous improvement experts. Go ahead, Dan. This is our secret sauce, kind of how we approach it. If you came to us and said, Jan, I'd like for you to train everybody in our company on Microsoft 365, we would say, nope. Because what we believe very strongly is the organization needs to figure out how you're going to use the tools. 365 is group software, as Arnie has taught me to look at it in that way. It's a brilliant way of looking at it. It's not like email. Email is like a simple tool you use on your own. But you really need to come up with what we call rules of engagement. What are the different ways we're going to use this so everybody's super clear? When are we using chat versus when are we using channels versus when are we using email? So having that really clear rules of engagement. And then the way we approach training is very unique. We always offer one-on-one training in addition to group training. Inevitably, there are people that don't want to leave email and they need a little extra hand-holding and guidance. And so that one-on-one training gets them more comfortable. So those are just some of our recommendations on how we help with adoption of Microsoft 365. So just a reminder, now that we have the new link that's updated with information, thank you for telling us. Apparently when I was cutting and pasting, I left off a letter at the end. So that was my bad. So I'm entering into chat all the links if you want to register for the September webinar on how to guarantee Microsoft Teams success. Sign up for a newsletter, get a copy of the case study, all that stuff. Those links are there. And then we'll open it up for Q&A. And for those of you that need to pop off, a lot of people have already popped off, or some have popped off because it's all good. But any quick questions? So Dave, it looks like he's got a question there, Nancy. Any idea if when Microsoft plans to allow AI generated follow-up actions from Microsoft Teams to be auto magically added into Outlook to do? Rafe might know. Rafe and some of our infrastructure folks might know the answer to that. Do you know, Nance?
Well, I don't know that I know a time frame, but I believe that it is available if you have Copilot. So
Mm,
you do need to have Copilot, and there are, oh, where was my list? There's not just actually one Copilot. There
Right.
are, there is Copilot for Edge, there is Copilot in Teams, there
Yeah.
is Copilot that goes over Word and Excel and PowerPoint. There is Copilot for security. So there's multiple Copilots if that is so a follow-up actions from Teams. So it would come, I believe, with the top level Copilot that it might be able to do that. Arnie, did I hear you on mute? No, do you have any more information? So I would check, I would say, Dave, ask your IT, whoever you're working with. And if you don't have an IT department or they don't know the answer, I would go directly to Microsoft. When you're in any of your apps, or if you're an admin, you should be able to contact them directly and ask them a question in a chat.
So
And
we had a Copilot webinar a couple months ago. It's out in our list of past recordings. Unfortunately, we don't have one of our Copilot people on the call right now to answer that question, but we have the expertise internally, that just not on the call. Sorry.
No
yeah,
problem.
Any other
Thanks.
questions? Yeah, thank you, Dave. Any other questions about
So
Outlook or anything else?
Patricia had one I saw up here.
Okay.
So Patricia says, I have multiple mailboxes that I share. In Classic Outlook, I add those at the bottom of my list of email folders. Can I do the same in the new version? The answer is yes. And so, for instance, for me personally, I have 3 shared mailboxes that I have set up. One for info, one for, I don't know what the other ones are, sales, and one for something else. And as soon as in the new Outlook, I put in my email address because it knew that I got to manage those shared mailboxes, it automatically brought them in. What you can do right now in your Classic, Patricia, is you can right click on those shared mailboxes, the inbox, and you can add it to your favorites. What you cannot do right now in the new is add those to your favorites, but it is coming. And I don't remember what that time frame was on that one, but it is a feature that is coming to be able to pin those October. So I would say by year end, we'll give them a couple months leeway there. By year end in the new Outlook, you would be able to add the inboxes of those shared email addresses to your favorites.
Perfect. All right. Well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up unless there's any other urgent questions. Nope. Okay, perfect. Thanks everybody for being here. Nice job, Nance. Super informative as always. It was great. So thank you.